On News Hour tonight, bandits attack Gombe community, kill 2, abduct 4. Experts warn against blind reliance on U.S. military in fighting insecurity. NDLEA arrest ex-convict, 3 orders over UK-bound cocaine. On the foreign scene, parliamentary elections record low turnout in Ivory Coast. Hello and welcome to the News Hour on Trust TV. I am Mariam Idris. Now we begin with a sad story from Gombe. A tragedy struck Pindiga village in Akko local government area of the state in the early hours of Sunday as unidentified gunmen killed 2 siblings and abducted 4 others. The victims, 31-year-old Yusuf Muhammad and 28-year-old Faiz Muhammad, were shot dead at their residence along the Pindiga-Kashiri road at around 3:30 a.m. Their 16-year-old sister, Zainab Muhammad Yusuf, was abducted during the attack. The assailants reportedly proceeded to another house in the village, abducting Jummai Alhaji Yayaji and 2 children, 11-year-old Al-Amin and 14-year-old Fatima Abdullahi. Confirming the incident, Gombe State Police Public Relations Officer DSP Buhari Abdullahi said a distress call was received at the Pindiga police station around the time of the attack. Police recovered 6 empty AK-47 shells and 1 live round during a site inspection conducted by senior officers. The 2 deceased were rushed to the Cottage Hospital in Pindiga, where they were pronounced dead by medical personnel. DSP Abdullahi assured residents that investigations are ongoing and urged the public to provide credible information to aid in apprehending the perpetrators. Governor Muhammad Inuwa Yahaya condemned the attack, describing it as barbaric, cruel, and utterly unacceptable. In a statement, his spokesman, Ismail Obama Sili, said the governor has directed security agencies to deploy all necessary resources to rescue the abducted victims and bring the criminals to justice. Still in Gombe State, the police command has arrested a 19-year-old casual worker, Shuaib Adamu, over the killing of a fellow worker, Malam Muhammad, at the Gombe Government House. In a statement, the police public relations officer, DSP Buhari Abdullahi, said the incident occurred on Friday, December 26, 2025, within the government house premises and involved 2 casual staff members. According to the police, a distress call was received at about 3:50 p.m., reporting that a male adult identified as Malam Umar, also known as Baba Usama, had been found unconscious. Operatives were immediately dispatched to the scene, and the victim, a borehole operator attached to the government house, was rushed to the specialist hospital, Gombe, where he was confirmed dead by a medical doctor. DSP Abdullahi said preliminary findings indicated that the death was suspicious, prompting the Commissioner of Police, CP Umar Ahmad Chuso, to visit the scene and order a thorough investigation. A review of a CCTV footage within the government house reportedly revealed that the deceased had been assaulted shortly before his death by another casual worker. Further investigations identified the suspect as Shuaib Adamu, popularly known as Yaya Mama, who was attached to a construction company operating within the government house. So joining us via phone call is DSP Buhari Abdullahi, Police Public Relations Officer, Gombe State Police Command, to discuss about Gombe insecurity. Thank you for joining in.
Thank you.
Okay, can you provide updates on the condition of the abducted victims? Are there any communications from the kidnappers, and what's been done to secure their release?
Good evening. Thank you for calling across. This evening or this morning of 23rd of December, we recorded this ugly incident But God be the glory, we are on top of the situation as the Commissioner of Police has already directed for very tough senior officers in order to make sure that these victims are released from hurt and to ensure that we arrest or apprehend the perpetrators of this heinous crime. And part of it is the Deputy Commissioner of Police in charge of operations alongside the officers visited the scene, and they have already made a very serious deployment around the border towns. Of course, the place of incident is a border town to Gombe and some part of Bauchi, which is under the local government. So there is a serious effort ongoing in order to see that we secure the release of those abducted persons.
Okay, what specific actions are security forces taking to track down the abductors and rescue the victims? And are there plans for increased patrols in Pindiga and surrounding areas?
Serious patrol already has been in place already. Like I have told you, around the border towns everywhere, we have already deployed our men in order to see that we have secure or cordon the area, the general area, so that we can be able to apprehend whosoever is trying to escape from that particular location. So there is a very serious effort going on.
Okay, DSP, were there any witnesses to the attack, and have they provided descriptions of the gunmen or their escape route?
No, what happened was, it's a night because the incident occurred around after 1 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. a.m. So it was night. One of the persons who escaped, who narrowly escaped, that is the second person whom they have entered his residence, and they abducted 3 of his wife and 2 of his children. Mentioned that he couldn't identify them because they were wearing black, but we are trying to see that we make all necessary efforts to apprehend those people.
Okay, the report says police recovered AK-47 shells at the scene. So now, does this suggest the attackers were likely armed bandits or another group? And are there any leads on their identities?
For now, there is no link to their identities, but after recovering such those empty shells and wildlife ammunition, it gives our detectives some headway to investigate the issue properly. Reason being that we don't used to face such challenges around those areas. In fact, the general area of Gombe State is relatively peaceful. So this is a very unfortunate incident that make us to make serious effort in order to identify the perpetrators of this heinous crime.
Okay, the report also says Governor Inuwa Yahaya condemned the attack. Now, are there any indications that this incident will lead to a broader security crackdown in Gombe State as a whole? And how are locals being reassured about their safety?
As it is, Gombe is peaceful, and this is one of the issues that just occurred, which I believe with the measures put in place by the Commissioner of Police, CP Ahmad Umar Triso, I believe it will prevent any future occurrences of such incidents. And then we are always calling on the members of the public to always cooperate with police to monitor some suspicious movement and report promptly in order to address the issue in a due time. So we are seriously concerned about the situation, and we are trying our possible best to see that we prevent its future occurrences.
Okay, how are locals, especially in the Pindiga-Kashere area, being reassured about their safety? How do you reassure them?
Yes, we show it to them physically because right now, like I have told you earlier, we have made a very serious deployment, a joint deployment including the military, the DSS, and locals, the hunters, the vigilante, everybody is involved in this particular operation. And we are trying to see that we brought the locals, members of the community, to partner in order to prevent this incident, the occurrence of this incident, and to see that we have cured our areas, especially those border communities where they can easily penetrate and live easily.
All right, thank you, DSP Buhari Abdullahi. Thank you for joining in.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor.
All right, moving on. Armed bandits have attacked Gorandus, a village in Shanono local government area of Kano State, killing one person, injuring two others, and rustling more than 40 cows. A resident of the community, Muhammad Kamanda, told our correspondent that the attack occurred about 11 p.m. on Saturday. Kamanda said the assailant stormed the village and targeted two houses during the operation. He added that the two injured victims were rushed to a hospital for medical treatment. The resident further disclosed that 5 people were still unaccounted for after the attack, raising fears that the fleeing bandits may have abducted them. He, however, commended the swift response of security forces, noting that their intervention helped repel the attackers. As of the time of filing this report, the Kano State Police Command had yet to officially confirm the incident. However, the command's police public relations officer, CSP Abdullahi Haruna Kiyawa, told our correspondent that details will be made public once the attack is formally verified. Now, troops of the Joint Task Force, JTF, Farurua, have rescued a kidnapped victim during a security operation along the Kano-Katsina border. The operation was carried out in the early hours of Sunday, December 28th, 2025, following credible intelligence on the movement of armed bandits from Daurawa and Kira areas of Katsina State into Kano State. According to the Army Public Relations Officer of 3 Brigade, Major Babatunde Zubairu, troops from the Ford operating base, Yankwada, swiftly mobilized a fighting patrol to intercept the suspect along the border axis. He said the troops engaged the bandits at Ongwandogo and Ongwantudu communities, leading to a fierce exchange of gunfire. During the operation, one kidnapped victim, Rabiu Alhaji Halilu, 38, was rescued. He sustained a gunshot wound to the leg during captivity and was immediately evacuated to the JTF Fanrua Medical Center, where he is receiving treatment. Troops also recovered 3 motorcycles abandoned by the fleeing bandits, 2 mobile phones, and an unspecified number of cattle suspected to have been rustled. Major Zubairu said troops remain on high alert with sustained patrols and surveillance ongoing to prevent further criminal activities in the area. He urged residents to continue providing timely and credible information to support ongoing security operations. Now, kidnappers of 28 travelers abducted last Sunday in Zak community, Bashar district, Wase local government area of Plateau State, are insisting on a ransom of 1.5 million naira per adult victim. The victims, including men, women, and children, were traveling to Sabanlai to attend a Maulud event when their vehicle was intercepted and they were taken to the kidnappers' hideout. Relatives said that the kidnappers first contacted them on Tuesday, demanding 1.5 million naira per person, a sum they could not afford. The kidnappers reportedly called again on Sunday, reiterating their demand. Wase local government chairman Muhammad Hamisu confirmed that helicopters and soldiers have been deployed to locate the victims, while the Plateau State Police said intelligence-driven teams are actively working to rescue them and apprehend the perpetrators. Relatives continue to plead for the safe release of their loved ones, citing their inability to meet the ransom due to financial constraints. Now, experts have expressed caution over Nigeria's collaboration with the United States in the recent airstrike on terrorist targets in northwest Nigeria, warning that such operations could carry unintended consequences. Ahmed Ismail, a diplomacy expert, urged the federal government to approach joint military operations with care. In an exclusive interview with Daily Post, he noted that the U.S. does not intervene purely out of goodwill and questions the government's handling of the operation. Similarly, retired security officer Captain Abdullahi Bakoji highlighted both the advantages and risks of airstrikes. He warned that foreign military involvement could be perceived as interference, potentially fueling insurgent propaganda aimed at convincing youth that the United States seeks to take over Nigeria. Bakoji also stressed the dangers posed to civilians. The U.S. Department of War released a video on social media on Friday, 26 December, showing the strike on Jabo in Tambuwal local government area of Sokoto State. The attack followed comments by former U.S. President Donald Trump and Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, who cited the killing of Christians in Nigeria and warned that tougher action would follow if violence persisted. Trump, acting as commander-in-chief, claimed that U.S. forces carried out a decisive military operation against ISIS fighters in northwest Nigeria, describing the group's attacks on mainly Christian communities as severe and long-standing. And now the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, has condemned the recent bomb explosion in Zamfara State that claimed 7 lives. The incident occurred on Saturday when suspected terrorists planted an improvised explosive device along the Magami-Dansado highway in Maru local government area. The device detonated as a commercial bus drove over it, killing passengers instantly. In a statement on Sunday, his special advisor on media and publicity, Musa Krishi, quoted Speaker Abbas describing the attack as cowardly and unfortunate. He noted that the bombing came shortly after joint Nigerian and American operations targeted terrorist hideouts in parts of the Northwest. Abbas reaffirmed the federal government's commitment to combating terrorism, banditry and other crimes, and stressed that Nigerians remain determined to support President Bola Tinubu's administration in safeguarding lives and property. The Speaker also pledged that the National Assembly would provide the necessary legislative and budgetary support to address security challenges while praying for the repose of the victims' soul and offering condolences to their families and the people of Zamfara State. Zamfara remains one of the most affected states in the Northwest, with armed groups frequently attacking highways, communities, and security formations. Despite ongoing military operations and joint task forces, the use of improvised explosive devices on major roads continues to pose a serious threat to communities and security personnel. And now Vice President Kashim Shettima has pledged to reconcile the strained political relationship between Benue State Governor Hyacinth Alia and the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume. Shettima said, as a leader from northern Nigeria, he has a moral responsibility to promote unity and harmony among political leaders in the region. The Vice President made the remarks on Sunday in Makurdi while representing President Bola Ahmed Tinubu at the wedding ceremony of Ms. Deborah Eshima and Mr. Samuel Owandakura, son of Senator George Akume. And as separate responses, Governor Hyacinth Alia and Senator George Akume assured that they are committed to setting aside their differences and working together to ensure peace, unity and development in Benue State. The political landscape in Rivers State is heating up as the Cold War between FCT Minister Nyesom Wike and Governor Siminalayi Fubara shows no sign of easing. Despite earlier peace interventions, the minister has now signaled a definitive resumption of full-scale political maneuvers in the state. The report.
The lingering political crisis in Rivers State appears far from over. Over the weekend, indications emerged that the much talk about peace deal between FCT Minister Nyesom Wike and Governor Siminalayi Fubara remains fragile. During a briefing with stakeholders from Hawada East and West local government areas, the minister sent a strong message to his detractors, declaring that the political vacation will end in January 2026.
What I want to advise us politicians, if you know you cannot abide to any agreement, don't go into it. Don't go into it. If you know anything you will not do, don't go into it. Don't come and say, oh, I was playing wayo. It will catch you up. Anything I will not do, I will tell you this one, I will not do this. When I agree with something, I go into it. So people should keep to what they have agreed. The peace stamp. That's what brings peace. But when you not think you are clever by half, you think you can play everybody, it won't work. It will not work.
Speaking at a Thanksgiving service in Ochigba community, Wike did not hold back. He criticized unnamed individuals he described as political opportunists, now claiming loyalty to President Bola Tinubu. He questioned where these individuals were during the 2023 general elections, accusing them of hiding, while he and his team worked tirelessly to secure the president's victory.
Everybody is jumping now. On your mandate we stand. I don't have problem about that. We have shattered it in 2023. We are the planters of Asuwaju. When you are talking about Asuwaju, they took it to court. Now because opposition have collapsed by their own making, everybody starts saying, on your mandate we shall stand. Stand on the mandate when it is hot, not when food is done.
Without naming names, the minister lamented that some who are now benefiting from the current administration's successes were absent during the campaign trenches. Addressing state politics, Wike emphasized that the sanctity of political agreements, noting that his refusal to compromise on paths has made him a target for criticism, with attacks on his personality becoming a lucrative business in Rivers State.
If you want to make money in Rivers today, I don't know how you made the mistake of announcing that there was 600-something billion naira. That mistake you made by announcing that have placed some politicians from other states. I know them. They will not tell somebody here, this Wike, enough is enough. They collect. Don't worry, Wike, his own time is finished. They collect.
Despite the ongoing local friction, the FCT minister reaffirmed his commitment to the renewed Hope mandate, insisting that his camp remains the main pillar of support for President Bola Tinubu in Rivers State. As the countdown to January 2026 begins, Rivers State's political actors are bracing for a renewed showdown. With alliances tested and criticism mounting, the stage is set for a defining period in the state's political landscape.
Parliamentary workers at the National Assembly have raised concerns over alleged breaches of the federal character principle in the appointment of secretaries, warning that continued violations could spark industrial unrest. The Parliamentary Staff Association of Nigeria, PERSON, National Assembly chapter addressed the issue in a formal protest letter to the chairman of the National Assembly Service Commission, which was made available to journalists in Abuja on Sunday. Signed by the union chairman, Sabi Sunday, the letter cited Section 14, subsection 3 of the 1999 Constitution as amended and the Federal Character Commission Act, emphasizing the need for equitable representation of Nigeria's federating units in public appointment. PERSON expressed concern that states already are represented in the secretary cadre repeatedly favored, while other states within the same geopolitical zone are excluded. The union called on the Commission to act swiftly to prevent perceptions of the bias and ensure fairness in staffing decisions. The association also praised President Bola Tinubu for recently reversing the controversial promotion of his aide-de-camp, Nuruddin Yusuf, citing it as an example of adherence to due process and fairness. Person stressed that compliance with the law is critical to maintaining harmony within the National Assembly bureaucracy, and warned that failure to observe the federal character principle could escalate tensions among parliamentary staff. Now, the presidency has announced that President Bola Ahmed has departed Lagos for Europe. The special advisor to the president on information and strategy, Bayo Onanuga, disclosed this in a statement issued on Sunday. According to Onanuga, President Tinubu will continue his end-of-year break in Europe before proceeding on an official trip to Abu Dhabi in the United Arab Emirates. While in Abu Dhabi, the president is expected to participate in the Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week, ADSW, a week-long annual summit that brings together global leaders from government, business, and civil society to discuss pathways to sustainable development. This year's summit is themed The Nexus of Next, All Systems Go, and will focus on linking ambition with acting across innovation, finance, and human capital, highlighting practical solutions for advancing global sustainability goals. Onanuga said the forum provides a platform for world leaders to exchange ideas and showcase initiatives aimed at building a more resilient and sustainable future. The president is expected to return to Nigeria after conclusion of the summit. The Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, has sued the 35 state governors, including the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, over their alleged failure to account for about 14 trillion naira realized as fuel subsidy savings. The Deputy Director of SERAP, k1lled Oluwadare, disclosed these in a statement on Sunday. Oluwadare said other respondents in the suit include the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation. According to SERAP, the governors and the FCT minister have collected trillions of naira as increased allocations from the Federation Account Allocation Committee, FAC, following the removal of fuel subsidy in May 2023. However, the organization alleged that the funds have not translated into improved access to quality health care, education, and other basic services for poor and vulnerable Nigerians. The rights group is urging the court to order the respondents to disclose details of how the increased FAC allocations described as fuel subsidy savings have been spent since mid-2023. It is also seeking an order compelling the governors and Mr. Wike to disclose details and locations of projects executed, if any, with their increased allocations. In the suit filed by its lawyers, Oluwakemi Agumbaide and Valentina Adegweke, SERAP argued that the Federation Account Allocation Committee distributed 28.78 trillion naira in 2024 to the 3 tiers of government from fuel subsidy removal, representing a 79% increase compared to the previous year. This is the news hour on Trust TV. Coming up after the break. NDLEA arrest ex-convict, 3 others over UK-bound cocaine. More news when we return. To stay with us. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is the news hour on Trust TV. Now let's take a recap of our major stories again. Bandits attack Gombe community, kill 2, abduct 4. Experts warn against blind reliance on U.S. military in fighting insecurity. Now moving on to more stories. Operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, have arrested a 37-year-old ex-convict, Nwobodo Chidebere Basil, along with 3 cargo agents over an attempt to export cocaine concealed in liquid starch sachet to the United Kingdom. Disclosing this in a statement on Sunday, NDLEA spokesperson Femi Babafemi said the arrest followed the seizure of 75 parcels of cocaine weighing 1.50 kilograms at the export shed of the Murtala Muhammad International Airport, Ikeja, Lagos. According to him, 3 cargo agents, Jibril Fidausa Hassana, Kuku Daniel Oluwasegun, and Igwe Chioma Jane, were arrested on December 20th during the initial operation. Further investigations led to the arrest of Nwobodo the following day at a relaxation center in Ikeja. Babafemi revealed that NDLEA records showed Nwobodo was previously arrested in May 2023 in connection with the seizure of 30.10 kilograms of methamphetamine concealed in powdered custard containers and destined for London. Reminiscing women's hairstyle from over 100 years ago, hair entrepreneur Happiness Okori is turning tradition into opportunity by studying authentic styles. She ensures that Black women's hair is cared for, promoting health both physically and psychologically. Let's take a look.
In Enugu, southeastern Nigeria, Okori is a leading figure in Africa's fast-growing natural hair industry. After suffering scalp burns from harsh relaxers, she taught herself to nurture and embrace her natural curls. Her passion soon became known at the multinational telecommunication company where she worked. Today, that passion has evolved into Fuzzy Hairport, an 18-seater hair spa in Enugu run almost entirely by women. The salon is now a standout success in Nigeria's beauty and cosmetic industry.
We're changing the narrative, right? We're trying to bring back those hairstyles that typically a young girl will not want to wear because, oh my God, I want to look a certain way. So we're revolutionizing how women see certain hairstyles because truly, if our mothers wore these hairstyles, there's nothing wrong with us preserving that heritage.
For Okori, her business is not only about cultural preservation, it's also about encouraging healthy lifestyles. She has transformed a market gap and a global health concern into a model of Africa's entrepreneurship, turning a once dismissed hobby into one of southeastern Nigeria's most successful hair ventures.
I noticed that for every time I go for relaxers, I come back with a burnt scalp. And I kept thinking it was just a normal thing. Your scalp have to, get burnt and all of that until the whole natural hair movement started. And I saw a few women with natural hair, but I just didn't understand it. So at the time, I told my hairstylist to think about the natural hair thing, that it looks like it's becoming very popular. But he was like, no, never. Women will never want to wear their natural hair.
Natural hair is increasingly embraced in Nigeria as more people become aware of the dangers of relaxers. For Okori, her journey highlights both personal and societal victories, a reminder that one woman's entrepreneurial vision can transform an industry and inspire generations of African women to embrace their natural beauty.
You are still watching News Hour on Trust TV. The news continues after the break. Welcome back, and now to business news. The Group Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, Bayo Ojulari, has assured Nigerians that the current price competition in the downstream petroleum sector will soon translate into real benefits for consumers. Ojulari gave the assurance while briefing President Bola Tinubu in Lagos, describing the ongoing market tensions as temporary. The report.
He explained that the situation is a natural outcome of Nigeria's transition from total dependence on imported fuel to domestic refining. Ojulari noted that under the deregulated regime, NNPCL no longer controls fuel pricing and does not receive federation allocation, but now operates like any other independent commercial entity.
Just to update him about the end of 2025 performance of NNPC, but also to talk about the strategic priorities for 2026 as we move to the end of the year. I think it's important to first of all say that is to thank Mr. President for the inspiration he has given to the new NNPC management, as you know, and the board, through this very challenging time of transformation. As we all know, no matter how you look at it, transformation is very, very difficult. But I think with his backing, we've been able to begin to make significant improvement to the structure of NNPC. You've seen our production this year. Last year, we were about 1.5 million barrels per day. This year we're getting to about over 1.7 million barrels per day in terms of oil production. The same thing, our gas production has also increased from about 6.5 million standard cubic feet.
Ojulari also clarified the roles of regulatory agencies, stating that the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority oversees downstream and midstream activities, while the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission is responsible for upstream regulation.
We've been able to successfully complete the welding of the main line of the AKK. You remember sometimes in summer we were able to cross the River Niger, which has been a struggle for many years. By completing this main line, what that means now is that we can begin to connect, make all the connections to the main line, which we will do in the earlier parts of next year. And why that is very important is that that brings gas in its full form into the northern part of Nigeria. We're looking at Kaduna, Kano, and also, of course, Ajaokuta and Abuja, where we begin to see industrialization, we begin to see industrial park taking gas for gas-based industry, fertilizer plants, as well as generating power.
He stressed that under the Petroleum Industry Act, NNPCL has been repositioned as a fully commercial company that must compete and operate profitably.
Away from Nigeria, the African Union, AU, and several countries has condemned Israel's recognition of Somaliland as an independent state, rejecting any attempt to legitimize the secessionist region and reaffirming their unwavering support for Somalia's unity, sovereignty, and territorial integrity. Israel became the first country to formally recognize Somaliland, a breakaway region, of Somalia that declared independence in 1991. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said the move would pave the way for expanded cooperation in agriculture, health, and technology. Somaliland President Abdurrahman Mohamed Abdullahi described the development as a historic moment, adding that the Somaliland will join the Abraham Accords as a step toward a regional and global peace. Abdullahi said Somaliland was committed to building partnerships, promoting stability, and boosting mutual prosperity across the Middle East and Africa. Analysts say Israel's recognition could encourage other countries to follow suit, potentially enhancing Somaliland's diplomatic standing and access to international markets. However, the African Union firmly rejected the move. In a statement, the chairperson of the AU Commission, Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, said the organization had unequivocally reaffirmed its commitment to the principle of respecting the inviolability of borders inherited at independence. Still on the foreign scene, voting ended on Saturday in Ivory Coast parliamentary elections, with exercise recording low voter turnout following a boycott by opposition parties. The poll came 2 months after President Alassane Ouattara secured another term in office, extending his 14-year rule. In parts of Abidjan, including Yopougon and Plateau districts, Turnout was particularly poor, with fewer than 100 voters casting ballots out of about 400 registered at several polling units. The Independent Electoral Commission, CEI, announced early Sunday that provisional voter turnout stood at 32.35%, down from 37.88% recorded during the 2021 legislative elections. More than 8 million Ivorians were eligible to vote for members of the National Assembly, where the ruling party currently holds a majority. Elections in Ivory Coast have often been marked by political tensions and sporadic violence. Authorities maintain the deployment of over 40,000 security personnel earlier used during the October presidential elections. By midday, voter participation remained low at several polling stations in Abidjan's Kokodi and Yopougon district, with some booths recording as few as 20 voters. And now to sports news. Super Eagles captain Wilfred Ndidi has faulted the late penalty awarded to Tunisia in their AFCON 2025 clash, insisting the decision was wrong. The Malian referee awarded the spot kick in the closing stages after a challenge involving Bright Osai Samuel, allowing Tunisia to score and set up a tense finish. Speaking after the match, Ndidi said there was no infringement to justify the penalty, a decision that has since sparked debate among fans and pundits over the officiating of the encounter. And with that, we have come to the end of the news hour on Trust TV. Do not forget to follow us across all our social media platforms and also join our YouTube live stream for more news. I am Mariam Idris. Thank you for watching.